to get the lease, my parents had to co-sign with me. So it's not just me. I have to be successful, or else, my parents could potentially, lose the house and whatever other assets that they have and stuff like that. So it's make it or break it that I have to be successful, or else, stuff starts crashing down.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Simple Profit Podcast, where we focus on doing one thing and one thing only. It is that to help you to build $1 million grossing businesses. My name is Tu, and I am excited to have Zac Reznik. I met Zac recently, and he's been following our podcast, and he kind of just told me, hey, he's implementing a lot of things that we are suggesting, and he just opened up his studio March of this year. Tenacity Martial Arts is based, I believe, Zac, correct me, but I believe you are based on the West Coast here, right?
Salt
Utah?
Lake City. Yeah,
Salt Lake City, Utah. That's correct. Okay. Started in March 2024. He's part of the ATA organization, American Taekwondo Association. Great friends of ours, partnered with us at my studio. And when I met Zac at the ATA Worlds this year, after I presented, he just had a couple of questions, and I really found his organization interesting. And we think that the problems that he's facing as a new entrepreneur, a new school that opened, probably could resonate with you. Even though you are looking to start your organization now, or you just opened up your school and you're trying to grow and be successful, or you already have a school and you're going to open up a new one, right? When you open up a new school, it is a startup, guys. The only difference between someone who has 0 schools and 100 schools is you've opened 100 different startups in your life and you're going to open up your 101st, or you've never opened up one and you're opening your first. It just comes down to experience and know-how. This is going to be a 12 series format. We're going to talk with Zac every single month to check in on his numbers, check in on what he's doing, how he's doing it. And then he's going to come with questions, and hopefully I can share my insights on what I'm doing to help him through that. How does that sound, Zac?
Sounds perfect. I'm ready to go.
Okay, let's talk about March 2024. Tell me about your financial situation. Tell me about your family situation. How did you get the money to open up the school? How did you find the space? Let's start there. That'll be perfect.
Right. Yeah, I didn't have the benefit of knowing of the Simple Profit podcast before, so I was using the knowledge of my successful mentors that I've met through the ATA, and my mom's been an accountant for 40 plus years, so she's been working in the professional world. So, and my dad was an immigrant from Canada. He did 20 years in the military, got out, had some local jobs, and then is now fully retired. So based on both of their experiences, I pull a lot from them. And then I have a really successful business mentor from Idaho Falls, Master Schultz. He runs a pretty successful Ferocity ATA gym up there. And I used his knowledge of taking over a gym without any sort of business degree. It was trial by fire over 15 years. And he's taken his gym from being hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt to now extremely successful and profitable. So I was like, if he's got his systems down, that was one of my biggest resources and biggest mentors. And being Ferocity, I named mine Tenacity, kind of a little bit of a play off of that name. And I also wanted something different. And I can talk more about the logo in a sec. But then I started just Googling commercial real estate in the Salt Lake area. I have a lot of friends and family through the ATA that used to train with me when I was a teenager, when I lived in Utah before I went on active duty and went away, traveled all over the world. And now I set myself up that my goal at 10 years old and 18 years old of owning my own gym, I didn't have the financial backing, but through being on active duty and using my GI Bill.
So you're military before this?
Yes, sir. I did 8 years on active duty. In the last year and a half, I've been in the Utah National Guard. So
I appreciate you, man. Thanks for your service.
Absolutely. Thank you for your support. Yeah. So I was a MP for 4 years, and then I reclassed to imagery intelligence. And then now that's what I've been doing through the Utah National Guard is imagery intelligence to support some of their forces. And I thought there would be, maybe there is that I just don't know about, a little bit more of like entrepreneur veteran grants. But I tried to kind of search. I reached out with the Small Business Administration. There wasn't anything absolutely like, hey, you can get this. I do have a 70% disability, so I get a disability check that kind of helps supplement a little bit. And now it's kind of I use a little bit of
All right,
that
okay.
with
Hold on. Let me just kind of dive a little bit deeper into this here. Okay.
okay.
So you decided you're serving in the military. You're in the National Guard now, and you decided to open up a school following your mentor, and you started researching commercial real estate. What were
Right.
your criteria when you're researching these locations?
Yeah, absolutely. So I needed to have good parking spots for parents. I don't want to have something that only had like 4 or 5 that maybe that
Yeah,
works for when I first start out. But as I grow, I want to have parent involvement in the seating area that increases retention. And then it also is a sales process that if they come in,
you
right,
look at parking spots. That's one of your. And what is another requirement?
parking spots in enough of a design that if I put mats down, I'm not going to be completely squished wall to wall, that there's enough of us, or if the bathrooms are in the back, there's a little bit of a pathway. So people aren't walking on mats. The layout of the building kind of fits with the vision that I have in my head. So I have some sort of entry area, front desk counter. I have mat space. If the bathroom's in the back, people don't know unless you've trained that culture to not walk on the mats with shoes and stuff like that. So I wanted enough of where I had the layout, there was some sort of walkway to the back area if the bathrooms are in the back and stuff like that.
The size of the space and the layout of the space should
Right.
be conducive to what you're doing. Okay, what else?
Absolutely. So parking spots, layout, and then trying to figure out my yield and stuff like that based on, is this a good space for rent wise? Like, is it going to completely absolutely break me if I don't negotiate like 6 to 8 months rent free, or
Good call.
what sort
That's
of
good.
what sort of rent compensations can I get? What does the rent look like? How much is it if I add in the CAM fees, the maintenance fees? So what's the grand total of this location, and what does that fit with other similar sized locations? How much are they charging in the nearby towns? And then in relation to ATA, super awesome that if you find a location, they'll send you demographics of that area. So then I sent them a few different locations. They sent me demographics. So how does that rent kind of compare to the demographics, and how can I use the average household income based off that rent to kind of try and figure out my yield of how much I could or couldn't charge if it was too high, too low, and stuff like that.
This episode is brought to you by MyStudio.io, the customer management and billing software for the modern day business. MyStudio powers thousands of businesses to ensure that a sign up or a sale opportunity is never missed. Customer management and communication is easy and can be fully automated so you can focus on what matters the most. Yeah, so this is good stuff here, guys. I'm going to unpack it a little bit here. All right, so you got layout, you got parking space, you're looking at rent costs overall, and then deferral, right? How much free rent can you get? Maybe you've talked about build out space too. Are they going to give you any allowance to do build out? Or what I recommend, if you have not listened to the rent podcast that I have, I'm not sure what episode it is, but I can go back and put that in the comment. Listen to that one, okay? How to negotiate rent. This is important. Some things in there you don't want to miss. One thing we didn't talk about is personal guarantee. I guess you didn't look at that. So are you personally guaranteeing this lease?
Yeah, I have gone back and listened to years now that I was starting out. Leaving the military, I couldn't go to the bank and say, hey, I've been in business for so long. So I was kind of...
No, that's understood. Like personal guarantee is going to be on there, but is there a rolling guarantee, or are you fully guaranteeing the whole lease?
Fully outright that to get the lease, my parents had to co-sign with me. So it's not just me. I have to be successful, or else, my parents could potentially, lose the house and whatever other assets that they have and stuff like that. So it's make it or break it that I have to be successful, or else, stuff starts crashing down.
So you are all in.
Correct.
This is fairly common. Yeah. A landlord wants people to have some sort of, equity or something. So that way you can't just pull and run, and they're kind of stuck with a space that they can't rent. So you got your parents to co-sign this. Do you have a loan?
I have a nonprofit micro loan to help me with some of those startup costs. It's about $10,000. Basically, for people in my situation, couldn't go to the bank, so they help small business owners get that initial startup going.
You got a $10,000 loan.
Right.
You got a personally guaranteed the whole lease. I recommend trying to get some sort of rolling guarantee. You should, if stuff hits the fan, please listen to that podcast if you looking to open your first one regarding rent and space, because this is one of the biggest decisions you make at the start. You got your parents to co-sign it. Your parents are fully locked in for the term of the lease, and so are you. Anything happen, they'll come after your house, your cars, your 401k, whatever assets you got, they're going to come after you for that.
Right.
This is the situation that most of us find ourselves in when we first start. It's scary, but you know what? This is a great thing about America, right? We know that the odds are there. We know we're up against, but we're going to go ahead and put our name on that lease because we're going to go chase our dreams. All right, so we signed a lease. You're $10,000 in the hole already from the loan. How much more money did you have to put in to get your school to open?
Then my parents, just to get the doors open with the first, last month, and the security deposit, my parents helped me out with that.
How much is your rent per month?
$4,427, so just over $4,400.
And I love this because when I met Zac, he was giving me a roundabout number. Now he's giving me an exact number. Okay, so This is the one thing that I told Zac, and I want all of you guys, whether you're owning your school or you're looking to open, you got to know your numbers, man. You can't just be like, oh, I think my rent is like around $2,000-$3,000. No, how much is your rent? $4,427. This is important stuff, right? Because at the end of the day, finance is the language of business. And you cannot be illiterate when it comes to finance, okay? People hate accounting. I don't like. If you hate accounting, don't be in business, because guess what? Business is all about counting money. And if you can't count money, you can't be in business. Does that make sense? So you got to know your number. So this is really good. $4,427 is your rent. So you're in another $10,000, right? You got to put first month's deposit, and you got to put security deposit. So that's about $8,600 or $8,800 right there.
Well, it was a little bit more. It was first, last month, and security deposit.
They got you with the last month too?
Correct.
Okay. All right. So again, you want to negotiate that because you're not going to see that security deposit ever, right? They're going to give you back maybe, right? But you're going to continue to extend your lease. And guess what? You may sell your business later, or you may close down your business later. Guess what? You're not seeing that first security deposit coming back. Okay. First month's rent, I understand. What I try to do is we don't need a last month's rent, right? So that way, if anything should happen, you at least save yourself another $4,000, or you use that $4,400 to buy mats, buy mirrors, or have that in the savings account, for a rainy day, right? So that's some other things there that, you want to take a look at. So when you open up your next school, you know that, hey, no, I'm only doing security deposit and first month rent, not last, okay? All of that's negotiable, by the way. All right. So how much are you totally in after mats, mirrors, everything signed on the roof? How much are you total in, you think? Estimate.
Well, right now, $61,000. From opening to now, it's been $37,000 of my owner investment, $14,000 from my parents helping me out with just various startup costs, basically a loan from my parents for that $14,000, and then the $10,000 from the microloan fund. So overall, right now, it's been about $61,000.
Okay, $61,000. Okay, put in to get this business started. I believe it was last month when we met. How many students did you have at ATA Worlds 1 month ago?
Just over 20, like 22, 23 students.
And when I asked you how much revenue you were bringing in at that particular point, you kind of don't know because you're like, well, it depends. Some of them are on, and then we created a spreadsheet for us to track this together, right? How much revenue were you bringing in at that point?
So I didn't have all my numbers dialed in, so it was maybe $2,000, $3,000 a month.
Hold on a second. $2,000 to $3,000 is a big difference. Let me just say that. That's where I told Zac, I said, hey, Zac, you're throwing a number at me that's not accurate. The difference between $100,000 and $99,000 is very small. It's still $1,000 difference, but the difference between $2,000 and $3,000 is very big. That's 30%, give and take, right? So I told you, hey, Zac, let's sit down and really get the numbers right. So then when we sat down and we just doing simple math, guys, if his rent is $4,427 and he's bringing in, let's just say $2,500, right in the middle between $2,000 and $3,000, we can all say that he's losing money, right? So I say, okay, so you're losing about $1,500, $1,600 a month. He said, no, more than that. I said, why are you losing more than that? And I said, the two biggest costs in our business, it's going to be rent. That's why I started at first. And it's going to be payroll. I said, well, your payroll, you're just not paying yourself, right? And what was your answer?
No, I have an instructor that I'm paying a flat contractor agreement of 150 a week, essentially.
And then, so I looked at him blankly in the face and I said, wow, okay, you must really enjoy what you do, or you really like this person, because
Yep.
you're losing $1,500 a month, but then you're still paying payroll. You're not paying yourself, obviously. You can't, right?
Right.
So I said, why do you have payroll? If you have 20 something students, you're working in there full time, why do you have an instructor?
Like you said, just because I really like him. He's like a little brother to me. We talked that he has 14 world titles, but it's what is coming back into the business from that. Now I've been able to kind of sit down and reevaluate that, and we restructured it to about $10 a class, and that frees me that I am using my GI Bill to go to school. I am in the National Guard, so it allows me to, if I have other work stuff like homework or National Guard stuff that I absolutely have no other time to do because I'm trying to run the business at all the other times while he's teaching class for me.
Wait, you're going to school? You're going to school for what, Zach?
A degree in psychology using my GI Bill.
Okay, so it's free school.
It's free school. Actually, I'm kind of getting paid to go to school because there's a housing stipend on there. So I get money for going to school to pay for rent, but my parents are letting me live rent free right now while I grow the business. So I'm using that money to help supplement the gym as well.
Okay. So I'm just going to break this down easy so that, we've talked about this. So you're getting a GI Bill for school, and it supplements housing, apartment, or housing from the school, whatnot.
Yep.
And you're saying, hey, I'm going to pay that to my parents, right? Which you are. Mm-hmm. And your parents are saying, hey, Zach, I'm going to give you that rent back to give to you so you can put it back in the business.
Right.
So what we talked about is, if your business is losing money and you're sleeping on your parents' couch or staying with them or whatnot, and you're $61,000 down the hole, what is the biggest thing that you got to do?
Cut down on expenses, put systems in place, reevaluate my business.
No, first things first. First things first is you got to cut down every single expense that you can.
Right.
Right. So when you have your classes, I'm just going to guess from 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. or whenever that is. Are you in school during that time?
Technically, yes, because most of it's online. I just have one in-person class that I have to go to get the maximum benefit from that GI Bill.
What is that? What is that class?
Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays at about 9 to 10 o'clock in the morning.
So when you have your classes, you can technically teach all of them.
Right.
That's what you got to do, man. You got to teach your classes. You got 23 students and growing. You can't pay somebody to teach your classes. Okay. Right. You just got to do what you got to do to save money. So that's the first thing I would do. There should be no other employees in your business until you get to about 50 to 60 students. Right. And even then, you should still be doing that. Like, if it's me, I would be running this thing until I get to 100 students. And then maybe I'll hire part-time staff up front that pay him $10 to $12 an hour just to greet the students. But I'm teaching the class. Right. With my studio, all the registration and stuff should be taken care of by itself because, through the automation and app that we have. But regarding greeting the students and stuff like that, high school student or whatever, $10, $12 an hour up front for 3 hours a day when I get to 100 students. If I got 23 students, man, I am hustling. So if you're in the same situation as Zach, when you're doing something else, whether it's school, whether it's a full-time job, and then you go to your school and a part-time job, and you're way too tired, and you got to hire somebody to do that, there's two things that you're up against. Number one, you're kind of like 1 foot out, 1 foot in, okay? Zach, your situation is a little bit different because you kind of have to do it because you got to supplement your business. You are de facto getting revenue, right, by going to school so that you can supplement your business.
Right.
Or if you are working a full-time job, that full-time job may be the one that pays your bills, and then you are now running your business as a hobby. I'm sorry, guys. I will not put $61,000, sign my name on a lease that puts everything at risk for me and put my parents in if I'm not doing this as a hobby. Right? You said earlier you were all in, right?
Right.
You got to be freaking all in, dude. Otherwise, this will set you back. If this does not work, it will set you back 10 years financially.
Right.
Guaranteed. Because I asked you this question. I asked you this question at ATA World. I said, Zac, if I told you right now, I'll give you a job that pays you $50,000 and you work 9 to 5, would you take it? What's your answer?
Well, my situation right now, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because you're not losing money, right?
Right.
So here, that's the point, right? You got to make good decisions. So when you go all in, you got to cut costs so that you're not bleeding money, and you got to get students in. So that's the situation when I met Zac. We put a plan together. Every single line item, we started cutting costs. I'm not ashamed to say this. First off, it's going to be the software. You were paying how much for software?
Close to $1,000,
$1,000.
8 to 1,000, yeah, depending on the add-ons that I got and stuff like that.
He was paying $1,000 for software, okay? And I said, why the hell are you paying for software? You may not even need software right now, I told him. Just freaking swipe the people credit card every month when they come in, right? I was really pragmatic with them when I said, you should not be paying, if you're making $2,000 to $2,500 a month and you got $4,000 of rent, you should not have a payroll. That's the first thing. You are the only worker. And number two, if you're using a software system, it should not cost you $1,000, okay? So you're on my studio now, paying about $199 or $200 a month, right? So you cut down, you save $800 there.
Right.
So we started just going down the list. Payroll was next, right? You started to say, okay, hey, I gotta cut this, I gotta work out some deal. I still recommend for you to teach most of that class, right? $10 an hour. It's not huge, but 3 classes a week, that's $30 times 6 days. That's still $180 a week. Multiply, let's just say $200 a week. Multiply that by 4 weeks, that's still another $800. If you are bringing in $2,500 in revenue, that is 30% of your revenue. You can't do that. You can't do that, right? The first thing we got to do is at least meet our operating needs, right? Okay, so we got rent. I understand you got software, $200 that you have now. You still got utilities, internet, insurance, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we broke this down, right? And what is your total expenses, Zac, at the end of the month?
One sec. Pull it up.
So what I told Zac to do, and if you have not done this before and you're thinking of opening your school, this is a very good informative exercise to do, right? You just can't look at like, how much is my rent? Okay, I need to make, no, there's a lot more expenses that come within the school. You got to put down your utilities and all of that. So if you don't have money for a bookkeeper, it is very easy to learn how to do this in QuickBooks.
Exactly.
I still do QuickBooks. Now, his mom's an accountant, so he's lucky, okay? She's helping him with this. But he can learn this, right? I still do my QuickBooks right now. And our company does over $20, $30 million annually. I don't just trust my CFO to give me a report and be like, hey, this is the numbers. I actually go in there and inspect it to make sure, one, are we lining our items correctly? And two, how are we using my resources, right? Because that is the main goal of the CEO. The main goal of the CEO is to properly use the resources at hand, right? That's the time, your employees' time, and the money that's at the business, okay? So it's very important to understand this. So Zac, I made him sat down and we did this together. And what's your total expenses monthly, man?
Right. So with utilities and my internet, it's $600 roughly for the additional utilities, water, electricity, gas, and phone and internet.
Okay. So you got $600 for utilities. You got $200 for software with my studio. Any other expenses? Insurance?
Insurance, it's through the ATA, and it was in a payment plan, but right now broken out, it's about $100 for insurance, prorated out through the entire time. It's been paid already, but my mom being an accountant, she broke it down and made sure it's accounted for every month.
She did accrual. You're an accrual accounting with not cash.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. To give a true picture of the business, how it's operating. Okay. So what's the total cash flow, right? How much is total expenses for you?
With rent added in there?
Yeah, everything. Yeah.
So it's about $5,000.
That's not correct. You said your rent was $4,427.
Yeah, sorry. 6,000.
I recommend to hone that number in, okay, and put that number on your desk somewhere. Like, I need to make this much money every month. And guess what, Zac? I'm sorry to say this, man. That number you put on your desk makes you $0, by the way.
Right.
Okay? It just allows you to tread water with your nose underneath so you're not drowning, you're not dying, right? Because when you lose money, your business dies. When you make no money, at least you're operating, right?
Okay.
Up there. So what is that number?
Yeah, that's what I didn't account for was my marketing cost as well. So total number, $7,412.27.
Okay, so $7,500 a month.
Right.
Okay, and then we work backwards and we say, how much are you charging for a student?
$150 for 3 times a week. It's our Black Belt Club program. On the value program with that
$150 a month, right?
Correct. Yeah, with that
Okay.
that value plan with the 6-month commitment. $180 for, like you said, when they don't want to commit to that, something, because average student stays about 9 months. So I created that value plan, and then the ones that don't want to commit right away, they're at $180 because I want to, have that premium.
That's your month to month. So
Correct.
You got month to month, and at $180.
Yep.
And then you got, if you commit for 6 months, you pay $150.
Correct.
Are they paying you in full for that 6 months?
No one's paid in full yet. No.
Cool.
And then there's the leadership program, which is the unlimited classes. You get the XMA training, you get the advanced weapons training, the more additional life skills, and leadership and legacy are kind of, we group them together in the same program. That's $200 a month for the unlimited classes and the additional training that's added on to there.
So if I pay you $20 more a month instead of $180, let's say I sign up with you. I say, hey, I have to do your normal program at $180. And you say for $20 a month, you can come a lot more and you get all this extra training. Is that correct? Sounds like a great deal to me.
Yes, sir.
Very shitty deal to you, though, right?
Yeah.
As a business. I would rather just look for another student and not teach that leadership class or XMA class. $20 bucks more, you know what I mean? So anyways, we'll talk about pricing later on. But for this particular episode, we're just going to start with the basics. So simple calculation, you need 40 students to break even, right?
Right.
$7,400 divided by 180. So that's what we came up. We say, hey, you need to get the 30 students in 1 month. And you got to do it now. I said, I don't care what you got to do. You got to get the 30 students. And we say, how many trials you need to get and what you convert. And you said you're converting like 80% of your trials because they're smaller.
Yes, sir.
Right? If you get someone in the door, Zac said, if you get someone in the door, I'll convert 80% of them. That means 10 people through the door, he'll get 8 people to sign up for his martial arts program. I said, great. So if you need 10 students, go get 13 trials. How are you doing in this month? So you started with 23 students. Where are you now?
Right now, I'm at 29 students since we last talked.
Okay, so you added 6 net students, yeah?
Correct.
So in July, when we met, you had 23, and now you have 29 students. How do you feel?
I feel a little bit better. When I first opened, the first 2 weeks was really bummed. I had a master tell me, hey, your first 2 weeks, you're going to be staring out the window thinking, why'd you open the gym? And then it started to pick up. I was on a good high. It was still end of school springtime. So people were still in their routines. They wanted to add in that extra, activity. And then summer happened, completely tanked. And then I was really bummed over the summer, these last few months. But now school's starting again. I've done some of the stuff that we talked about where I have parents' night outs set up to try and get some leads. There's this super awesome program through Utah called Utah Fits All. It's a homeschool program where the state gives them a budget within their scholarship that they can generally spend on whatever they want. So I registered as a vendor for that, and I've gotten a whole bunch of leads from that. And I've already some of those students that I've converted have strictly just been, I paid $100 to register as a vendor. They put my name on the website. I went to the in-person event as well, so people could meet me face to face. Got a whole bunch of leads from that. So between those two of the in-person event and being on the website, people are still reaching out to me saying, hey, I saw you as a vendor. I can pay you directly through this scholarship program that the state gives me. So the state is paying me money to teach their students. And so I'm a little bit more excited now for school to start again and to kind of get on the uphill trajectory. And then there's been more walk-ins over the last week or two as well, that, the walk-in foot traffic and the homeschool foot traffic, and then my social media ads as well is starting to pick up again.
Okay, so that's good. So we got 6 net new students. And because what I told you was, hey, Zac, you got about a runway of 3 months, right? Because if you keep losing money in the business, at some point you're going to run out of money.
Right.
If you got $7,400 in expenses and you're bringing in only $2,500, $3,000, there comes a point where every month you're losing $3,000, it starts to add up.
Right.
And you got the $61,000 loan here as well that you got to pay back somehow. So we said we got a 3-month run rate where you got to break even. So that's kind of our plan. So we got 20 students. We need to get to 40 students in 3 months, and we got to do it fast. Okay. Not hard to do, everybody. Okay. This is really not hard to do if you really use your time wisely and execute on the things that you should be executing on. So right now, so from 20 students to 40 students, he needs to net, right? You're probably doing the math real quick. Oh, okay. So we need to double a student body. 20 students in 3 months, roughly around 7 students a month. It's actually not 7 students a month because students are going to quit.
Right.
How many quits did you have this month?
0. I'm at 100% retention so far.
Oh, good man. Okay, you're still new. How about last month?
0.
Okay, and the month before that?
0. I used the systems put in place by my mentors I'm a personable kind of person that I know that so far, I know it's not going to last forever, but right now I'm on the high that if I get them in the door on a program, they've seen the value, the benefit that I have teaching on the mat, that no one has left, even with that break in summer. Some of them have gone on vacation and stuff like that for a week, 2 weeks. They came right back because I've instilled the value on the mats of how much my program means to them that none of them have left so far.
And that's such a beautiful thing, because let's say you do your marketing really well, you got a ton of students in, but if they're quitting, they're not staying with you, that means your program sucks.
Right.
Right? So if they're staying with you, that means you're doing a good job. Whatever you're doing, I would just keep doing it and make sure that continues even when you get 40 students, 50, 60, 70, etc. Right? If you haven't written down these process, make sure you do it, right? Because at one point, you're not going to be able to do everything. Right now, you need to do everything. That's what I'm saying. You got to do everything right now, right? To save money and make money, okay? All right, so some of the things that Zac is spending his time doing really well on are these special events, right? So when you tell a parent that, hey, I have a free parents' night out, bring them on Friday nights. It's going to be from 6 p.m. to 8:30 p.m., right? Don't do it any more than that. Don't stay till 10 or 11 p.m. or don't do that, okay? Drop off is at 6, pick up is at 8:30. Guess what? I am a parent of 4 kids, 4 very young kids. I got a 4-year-old, a 6-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 3-month-old, okay? So all I want is an hour to an hour and a half of my time with my wife at a quiet dinner, whether at home or somewhere else. That's all I need. So don't wear yourself out, is what I'm saying. Some people run their parents' night out till like 11 o'clock, 10. I don't think that's necessary. Parents don't even want that. 6 to 8:30, and all you do is you order pizza. That should be your only expense. And don't sit them down and put them in front of a movie. Parents don't want that either, and kids don't want to come back, right? Because it gets boring after a while. Run really structured, organized activities when you're doing that, right? And then you say, hey, the entry is $25 or it's free if you bring a friend. I don't look at the $25, Zac. I already told you this. I don't care about the $25, okay? What I do care about is when you bring a friend, okay? And so for parents like me, I said, well, it's free if I bring a friend. Let me call a cousin. Let me call a friend from the neighborhood. I'll bring them in. And you may get 3, 4, 5 leads. Don't let those leads leave without signing up for a class or a trial, right? And that's how you get free marketing one way coming into your schools. And you should be doing that every other week at least, right? Every other week, a big special event. And it can't just be parents' night out. So Zac, I want you to plan out your next 2 months. And if you can send it to me, and then I'll say, hey, this is probably good. And come up with themes, right? Kids love themes. Like what's in right now for kids?
I'm not sure. Well, like Minecraft, Pokemon, those are some of the stuff that the kids coming into class, talk to me about random stuff.
Okay,
Minecraft, Pokemon.
There you go. You gotta be like a kid, man. Just like put yourself in the shoe of a kid and be like, what is interesting right now to me? If they're kids, Pokemon dodgeball night, or whatever, right? And make up a game that's Pokemon related. Okay. Hey guys, I'm gonna hide this black belt. It's the ultimate Pokemon ball black belt. And you got to have these challenges. And then when you find that black belt, you win. And what do you win? you win this awesome t-shirt, or you win this whatever. Don't give them a candy or snack. Parents don't like that, okay? So that's what you got to do to create these parents, the different like parents night out. So that you're marketing to the kids, Zac. You're not marketing to parents. Parents already know what that is. But if you tell the kid, oh guys, parents night out again, they're like, what are we going to do? But you say, hey, we got an awesome event coming up. It's Pokemon dodgeball, plus find a, I don't know, make them an avatar with some, I don't know, Pokemon, some sort of animal, right? Make up one that is tenacious. And when you say that in class, kids are going to run out. They're going to see a little flyer with a QR code where parents can sign up, right, through the My Studio platform, because you want to make it easy from register. They're going to run, Mom, I got to go to this Pokemon night. And you just got to do that every other week. So what I make my team members do at Encourage Martial Arts is we run special events every other Friday. Right. The other Fridays, we don't do testing every week, by the way. We just do that in class because we know we need to get students in. Every other Friday is a special VIP night. I select one child. Maybe it's a new student that loves it and has like a white belt, just got their white belt, and I say, hey, you're my special VIP student, and I'm going to throw you a VIP party just for you. You can invite up to 15 friends and family to come. You do the same thing, okay? But this time, not 2.5 hours. It's 1.5 hours. That's it, okay? And we don't even do food at all, right? You can, if you're doing a Friday night, you can have pizza on there. Some parents usually bring it, but you highlight that child, you bring that child up, they break a board in front of their friends. They are the leaders of all the games. They get to hold a paddle. They get to be the instructor, for the day, right? And all the friends are there. And then all the friends get to break a board as well, That's what kids love. And by the way, hey, if you register for a trial today, you're going to get a free uniform, whatever that catch that you have is. That is your special event playlist. And you execute the heck out of that, man. Use the students that you have right now, the 29 students that you have. Each one of them could bring you 5 students, but you got to do it right. And this costs very little, right? Pizza is like $30 for 15 kids, So that's what I want you to execute. I want you to get 15 trials in if you can. So set a goal from September 1st, and then we got Labor Day, so you may lose that. But September 1st to September 30th, get another 15 trials in, and make sure you measure where they come from, right? So when you set up your trial in My Studio, make sure the sources has one of the how did you hear about us has to be in-school event. Right. Because what you want to do in the My Studio dashboard when you pull it up is when you look at the trials, we have a little bar chart, in V2 now, that says where your trials came from. It will tell you where most of your trials are coming from. And then you double down on that marketing effort. This is how we spend our time and we spend our money wisely. All right, man. You have 29 students. We're 11 students away from break even, guys. All right. And then we're really going to try to make some money. Does that sound good, Zac?
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Okay. I hope this was helpful to you, Zac, and I hope this is helpful to some of the audience that are listening. Again, if you find this podcast helpful, please share this with a friend. The Simple Profit Podcast. Check out mystudio.io. Reach out to Zac. Zac, comment on this thing to email. If you're learning, hey, how does this thing all work? Is My Studio worth it? Is it helping your school?
tenacitymartialarts@gmail.com. You can send me all the emails you want.
How's My Studio working for you? That $200 compared to $1,000.
Yeah, so I was using a different software. It was a little too much for my needs. My Studio is very simplified, especially when you pull up the dashboard. It has the analytics, and then it says at the bottom, billing for next 30 days. And my goal has just been to, which each sign up, that number gets closer and closer to my break even, and paying my rent is the biggest one first, and then eliminating all those other expenses after that.
Yeah, right on. You're doing good, man. 23 to 29 students is a good step. Congratulations, man. Proud of you. Excited to see updates from you, right? And I'm sure our audience is excited to see episode 2 of this particular series that we have as well. And hopefully we're sitting here at the upper 30 students by this time next month.
Yes, sir.
All right, thanks for joining us, everybody. Zac, have a good day. Crush it, man. I'll talk to you next month.
You too. Thank you, sir.